Hello everyone, Lily here. Welcome back to my channel. I know it has been a long time since the last update. I hosted a 3-day challenge last month and I was busy with the challenge. Sorry for the late update. Anyways, today I'm going to share with you guys my strategies for finishing a Task 2 essay in less than 40 minutes. You guys, it's very important that we don't spend the entire 40 minutes just writing the essay because we really want a few minutes left to check for errors. As you can see in the band descriptors, in order to get a 7 or above, we need to frequently produce error-free sentences. If you have a few minutes left to check simple errors like spelling errors, subject-verb disagreements, and misuses of articles and prepositions, you can definitely produce more error-free sentences. And you may even be able to make small changes to your essay to improve the flow or clarity if you have a few minutes left at the end. So, in order to finish your Task 2 essay as soon as possible, I highly recommend that you take the computer-based test. If you take the paper-based test, you will have to use an eraser when you want to make changes to your essay. This is such a waste of time. Every second counts. I even bought this Dell keyboard. It's the same as the one used in the exam room. So in every city in China, they use this kind of Dell keyboard in the exam room. It's only $7. Maybe you can ask your friends who have already taken the test about the type of keyboard used in the actual exams. I practiced typing my essays on this keyboard at home for a while, and every time I took notes on the words that I spelled wrong, it really helped. In the actual exam, I was able to type much faster and with fewer spelling errors. So I highly recommend that you take the computer-based test, buy the keyboard used in the exam room, and practice typing on that keyboard at home. Now, let's talk about the exact steps I use when writing a Task 2 essay. The first thing I would do is read the essay question and highlight the important words. Some questions are tricky. We may not even be aware that certain words are important. Take this essay question as an example. Some people think secondary school students should study international news as one of their subjects, while others believe that this is a waste of valuable school time. Discuss both these views and give your own opinion. So, international news is definitely important, but many people are actually unaware that they need to address as one of their subjects. It isn't enough to just discuss studying international news. We need to discuss studying international news as a subject. So it's important that we read the question carefully and highlight all the important words to remind ourselves to address all parts of the question. By the way, you will be able to highlight text like this in the actual exam. After analyzing the essay question, the next step is planning. So before I start writing a single word, I would first spend like 5 minutes planning out the 2 body paragraphs in my head. Yes, I would plan and write the 2 body paragraphs first. After finish the 2 body paragraphs, there probably isn't much time left. This forces me to write the introductory and the conclusion paragraphs as soon as possible. I don't want to rush through the 2 body paragraphs. I want to have 2 relevant and fully developed body paragraphs. And before we start writing, it's important that we plan out both of the body paragraphs, not just the first body paragraph, because we may change our opinion as we plan. I mean, in the discussion essay, we not only need to discuss the 2 views, but we also need to explain why we agree with one side and disagree with the other side, right? I have a video specifically talking about the structure of a discussion essay. If you find this structure confusing, please click here to watch that video first. So as you plan, you may find it extremely hard to write this part. It's extremely hard to explain why you agree with this side of the argument. It's maybe much easier if you change your opinion and agree with this side instead. You know what I mean? You may change your opinion as you write. So it's very important that you plan out both body paragraphs. You need to make sure that you have 2 body paragraphs that work before you start writing. I usually spend around 5 minutes analyzing the question and planning out the two body paragraphs. So what should we plan when we are planning the two body paragraphs? The first thing I would do is think of a topic sentence for the first body paragraph. Many people actually don't write a topic sentence. They start their first body paragraph with something like this. On the one hand, some people argue that studying global news is a misuse of precious school hours. And then they go on to explain why studying global news is a waste of time. No, you need a topic sentence that directly answers the question of why some people think studying global news is a waste of school time. It can be because it takes away from students' time to focus on more important subjects such as math and science. You need something like this to be your topic sentence, not this one. Next, we need to make sure that the topic sentence can be expanded into a relevant, fully developed paragraph. Often, if you find it hard to develop your topic sentence, it may be simply because that topic sentence is hard to develop. Instead of trying hard to come up with explanations and examples to support it, it might be more efficient to choose a different topic sentence that can be easily developed. And what do I mean by relevant development? For example, let's say my opinion is that I think secondary school students should study international news. So in the first body paragraph, I will discuss why some people think it's a waste of school time. The first idea that comes to my mind is that studying international news takes away from students' time to focus on more important subjects such as math and science. It seems that I have no problem developing this topic sentence, but when I'm playing in my head, I realize that my development is irrelevant to international news. So what I'm thinking is that if international news is made a subject, students will need to spend time finishing related homework and preparing for the exams, which means they will have less time for subjects like math and science. This paragraph is supposed to be about the disadvantages of studying international news, right? However, this development is not very relevant to international news. It can be about any school subject. For example, studying arts can take away from students' time to focus on more important subjects because they need to allocate time to finish related homework and prepare for the exams. So this development isn't particularly about international news. It doesn't work. There's actually a very big channel telling students to just use the first idea that comes to mind. But as you can see, your first idea may not work. It may be difficult to develop or may not allow for relevant development. You may need to plan the paragraph all over again because that idea just doesn't work. So now I need to think of a new topic sentence. I ask myself again, why do some people think studying international news is a waste of school time? Perhaps they think studying it is unlikely to help students find jobs in the future. Let me develop this topic sentence in my head. It won't help students find jobs because it doesn't teach them any solid job skill. Can I think of an example? Perhaps I can talk about presidential elections or earthquakes in foreign countries. News like this doesn't teach students any practical job skill. It's better to spend time on more practical subjects like math and science. So yeah, this topic sentence works. I can fully develop it, and the development is relevant to international news. Next, I need to think of why I disagree with these people. When we plan this part, it's very important that we stay focused on the main idea of careers. For example, don't say something like this. However, I disagree with this statement because studying international news has the benefit of helping students develop a broader understanding of different cultures. Don't write something like this because it's irrelevant to the main idea of careers. We need to talk about careers. The topic sentence says studying international news doesn't benefit students' future careers. I need to argue why it actually benefits students' future careers. So how can it be beneficial to future careers? Well, not everyone wants to grow up to become a scientist or engineer. Studying international news may help some students find a career path like journalism or international relations. This is about careers. Perfect. Now, I know I will have a paragraph that works, meaning the paragraph can be fully developed and is relevant to international news. After I've made sure I will have a paragraph that works, I will type the keywords of the topic sentence on the computer screen. So I will type careers. That's all. I don't want to waste time typing a detailed plan for the paragraph. All I need is the main idea, careers, to remind myself of what I'm going to write about. Next, let me plan body paragraph 2. The method is exactly the same. We first need to think of a topic sentence that directly answers why other people think secondary school students should study international news as a subject. They think so perhaps because international news can be inspiring. It may inspire students to do something great in the future. Now, let me develop this topic sentence in my head. When students learn in the news what people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos do, they may be inspired to do something great in the future, just like Musk and Bezos. Now, before I think of examples, let me check if my development is relevant. Well, it's not completely relevant because I ignored one of their subjects. My development is about the benefit of studying international news. However, what I should talk about is the benefit of studying international news as a subject. So what does the question mean by subject? Well, if international news becomes a subject, students will attend the news classes on a regular basis, right? They will regularly learn about news events. This regular exposure can inspire students to do something great in the future, just like the figures reported in the news. Yeah, so I just need to make some small adjustments to my development, then it will be relevant to subject. What about examples? I think I can write about Elon Musk launching rockets or OpenAI developing AI products. News like this is actually very inspiring. It can inspire students to do something great in the future. So the examples work. I only need to have a rough idea of what I'm going to write about and make sure it works. That's enough. Now, I want to share with you guys how I'm able to generate ideas like this. The secret is listening to the news. I consume news on YouTube and Spotify. I also watch interviews with celebrities like Jeff Bezos on YouTube. I'm not naturally good at coming up with ideas. I got better at it over time by keeping up with the news. For example, I remember in an interview with Jeff Bezos, he said that he started his rocket company Blue Origin because he was inspired by the news of the moon landing he watched on TV when he was a little boy. That's how I came up with the idea that studying international news can inspire students to do something great in the future. So if you are not very good at generating ideas, I highly recommend following some news channels like the Wall Street Journal on YouTube or Spotify. Now, let me try to think of why I agree with this side of the argument. Remember, we need to make this part relevant to the main idea of inspiring students to do something great. Maybe I can talk about why it is important that students get inspired in school, since the context of this essay question is school. I mean, the essay question isn't just about studying international news. It's about studying international news in school, right? So it's important that students get inspired in school because school shouldn't just be a place where they acquire knowledge. It should also be a place where they are inspired to discover their greatest potential. Yes, I think it's relevant. Greatest potential is relevant to the main idea of being inspired to do something great in the future. So I've finished planning the two body paragraphs. Now I can start writing. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I write the two body paragraphs first. After I finish these two body paragraphs, there probably won't be much time left, so I will just force myself to write the introductory and conclusion paragraphs as soon as possible. This is the key to making time to check my essay. Many people spend a lot of time on their introductory paragraph, but I think the two body paragraphs actually matter more. What's the point of having a perfect introductory paragraph while the two body paragraphs are off topic and underdeveloped? I would write the two body paragraphs first. This way, I can not only focus more on these two paragraphs, but also manage to have a few minutes left to check the essay. And I would write a paragraph chunk by chunk. I would first think in my head how to write a topic sentence, thinking about the vocabulary and the sentence construction. Once I have it figured out in my head, I will write it out in one go. So I write a paragraph like this. Think about the topic sentence and then write it. Think about the explanation part and then write it. Think about the why I disagree part and then write it. As you can see, the explanation contains two sentences. When you practice at home, try experimenting to see if planning two sentences at once works for you. If it doesn't, consider working on one sentence at a time. You need to experiment and find a way that works best for you. I personally find it more efficient to first think through the entire explanation part before writing it. The first sentence may be a good sentence on its own, but once you write the second one, you might notice that it doesn't flow naturally to the next sentence. That means you may have to spend time making adjustments, so why not plan them together in the first place? I will use this same method to write body paragraph 2. I first think through the topic sentence in my head, and then write it. Next, I think through the explanation part and then write it. Finally, I think through the why I agree part and then write it. I'm not going to go into detail about how to fully develop your paragraph or how to write examples. I already have a playlist of videos talking about paragraph development. You can click here to watch. So in the planning stage, I think of what to write, while in the writing stage, I think of how to write, like what vocabulary and sentence constructions to use to express the ideas I've come up with in the planning stage. It might sound like a lot of mental work, but it actually helps me to write faster because it reduces the need for rewrites. If you start writing without planning, you may end up spending extra time deleting sentences and rewriting them. Now, I've finished the two body paragraphs. In order to have a few minutes left to check the essay, I need to finish the introductory and the conclusion paragraphs as quickly as possible. I usually spend like 5 minutes planning the two body paragraphs and around 25 minutes writing them. That means if I want to have 3 to 4 minutes left to check the essay, I need to finish both the introductory and the conclusion paragraphs in like 6 to 7 minutes. One way not to finish your introductory paragraph fast is to write a paragraph like this. Some people argue that secondary schools should include international news in their curriculum, whereas others consider it a misuse of valuable school time. While studying international news might not have a direct impact on students' future careers, I believe that it has the potential to inspire greatness in students and therefore should be made compulsory in secondary schools. This paragraph first paraphrases the question statement, then states the two main ideas of the body paragraphs, and then gives an opinion. This works but isn't practical. It does a lot of paraphrasing. It rephrases the question statement. It rephrases the two main ideas. Not to mention that we need to rephrase our opinion and the two main ideas again in the conclusion paragraph. There is just too much paraphrasing. And paraphrasing is difficult and time-consuming. No way we can write an introductory paragraph like this and the conclusion paragraph in only 6 to 7 minutes. How about a simple introductory paragraph like this? It's more practical. We first write a simple background sentence. Opinions differ regarding the conclusion of global news as subjects in secondary schools. I created some templates to help you guys quickly write a background sentence like this. So the templates on the left should be followed by lungs. The inclusion of global news as a subject in secondary schools is a noun phrase, right? If you want to write clauses, you can use the templates on the right of the computer screen. For example, there are differing opinions regarding whether global news should be studied as a subject in secondary schools. It uses a whether clause. And then, instead of stating both of the main ideas, we can state only the main idea of the side that we agree with. As you can see, I only included the main idea of the second body paragraph, greatness. Delving into worldwide news holds the potential to inspire greatness in students. I didn't include the main idea of body paragraph 1, careers, in this paragraph. And then I give my opinion, thus making it a subject worth studying. Remember, what we must do in the introductory paragraph is give our opinion, and we can flexible on other elements. For example, we can state both of the two main ideas, or we can state only one of the main ideas. We can paraphrase the question statement, but we don't have to. As long as we give our opinion in the introductory paragraph, we will be fine. Another tip for finishing the introductory and the conclusion paragraphs fast is not to be afraid of repeating the key words of the two main ideas. For example, I used the greatness here and I used it again here. And I'm going to use it again in the conclusion paragraph. Do you know that repetition like this actually helps improve our scores on coherence and cohesion? So, what unifies the four paragraphs into a whole essay? Of course, linking words like on the one hand, on the other hand, and in conclusion help. But what helps more is actually the repetition of the main ideas. By repeating the main idea of greatness, the essay is unified into one single idea. So you don't need to spend time trying to figure out other ways to express greatness. Just repeat it. Imagine saying something like this in the introductory paragraph. Studying international news has the potential to cultivate the next generation of high achievers. Is the essay about cultivating high achievers, or is it about igniting future greatness in students? They don't mean exactly the same, so this version actually makes your essay less coherent. Better just repeat the word greatness. Now, let me write the conclusion paragraph. I think because this is a conclusion, it's better to state both of the main ideas to give this essay a good summary. Again, don't be afraid to repeat the key words of the two main ideas. So I'm going to just repeat careers and greatness. While studying world affairs may not have a direct career benefit, it has the potential to spark greatness in young students and therefore should be included as a subject in secondary schools. By repeating career and greatness, I can not only write faster but also improve the coherence of the essay. If you want to vary your language, try rephrasing those unimportant words. For example, I replace the power with potential and ignite with spark. So try to vary your language by changing those unimportant words. The repetition of the important words actually makes your essay more coherent. You don't need to change them. Now, I've finished the entire Task 2 essay. I wouldn't check it right now. I would go back and write Task 1. Yes, I always write Task 2 and then Task 1. The goal is to force myself to finish Task 1 in like 17 to 18 minutes. In this way, I can have 5 minutes left to check both essays. So, what do I check when I'm checking the essays? I'm actually very bad at spotting spelling errors on a computer screen, but this is fine because there are probably not many spelling errors in my essays. At the beginning of the video, I said I bought the exact keyboard used in the exam room. I practiced typing with accuracy on that keyboard, so my main focus is to spot small grammar issues like singular and pronouns, subject and verb disagreements, and articles. I will also try to see if I repeated a word too many times. For example, when I write, I may forget to rephrase international news. I can quickly change it to global news or worldwide news. Issues like this are very easy to fix. And sometimes I may even be able to make small adjustments to my sentences to improve the clarity or flow. For example, what does this refer to? Does it refer to the rocket launches or the regular exposure? I can make it more clear by using this consistent exposure. Anyway, you are the one who knows yourself best. You know the types of mistakes you usually make. Pay close attention to those arrows when checking your essay. So here are all the things I do to write faster. Hope you guys find these tips helpful. That's it for this video. See you in the next one.